Hey everyone, I hope you are all having a fantastic day so far. Today we'll be going over 10 JRPGs and other Eastern titles that fit the spooky Halloween season. These are all going to be games from my PS4 collection, but a lot of them are available on other modern consoles as well. Starting with Danganronpa Another Episode Ultra Despair Girls, which is an action-adventure and third-person shooter spin-off of the Danganronpa series, set between the first two main games, developed by Spike Chunsoft. It follows Komaru Naegi and Toko Fukawa as they try to escape the despair-ridden Tawa City, using a hacking gun to fight against Monokuma robots. It starts out with a lengthy cutscene that sets up the story pretty well, even for people who haven't played the original games. It seems like you could play this one even though it technically takes place after the second game, in between the first and second game. You are a prisoner, and your goal is to uncover some mysteries and hopefully escape this prison eventually. Once you finally gain control, you are face to face with a certain black and white teddy bear. You immediately have to run and attempt to make an escape from that evil bear and from the burning building you find yourself in. This plays entirely different than any other Danganronpa game, but if you are a fan of those, or just of Spike Chunsoft in general, then you should definitely pick this one up. Full disclosure, getting footage for this is my first time playing it, but I've played through the first Danganronpa game and some of Spike Chunsoft's other work as well. I've enjoyed everything I've played from them, and I will most likely be playing through this entire game before Halloween gets here. The Witch and the Hundred Knight 2 is an action RPG which follows the Hundred Knight as it assists Amali, a member of an anti-witch organization, and her sister, Milm, who has been possessed by the witch Chelka. The game received mixed reviews with praise for its art and music, but criticism for its story, repetitive combat, and lack of innovation. You can start with this one first, even though this is the second in the series. It basically starts out completely fresh with a whole new story and characters as far as I can tell. It features more of the same great hack-and-slash combat with top-down dungeon crawling, similar to the Diablo games, but with more of an anime feel to it. I've only played the first one, aside from getting footage for this one. They seem very similar as far as gameplay and aesthetics go, and they both seem perfect for this time of year. They have tons of spooky things in them, from witches, magic, and many other creepy things.
Look at you!
Scarlet Nexus is an action role-playing game which features a brain punk setting where players use psychokinetic abilities to fight mutated creatures called Others. It starts out with a pretty short cutscene for a change, and then you get thrown into a very lengthy tutorial going over every single different method of killing monsters, from regular button mashing hack and slash combat to using psychic abilities to pick up and throw all kinds of random obstacles into your enemies. This game is a ton of fun, with all its different ways of getting through combat. It isn't perfect, and definitely does feel a bit undercooked and cheap later on, especially with combat. I remember it being fun, but very difficult at times as well. I may just suck at action games that take any kind of actual skill, but either way, I really enjoyed most of my time with this one, and would consider going through it again. Especially since you can carry over stats to a new file after beating it once, and I think that would be fun to check out one day. The visuals give off spooky vibes constantly, with just the colors they use, mostly vibrant reds and other spooky feeling colors that make this a great pickup for spooky season. Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne is a classic Japanese role-playing game where a silent protagonist is transformed into a half-demon after a cataclysmic event in Tokyo. The The game is known for its challenging turn-based combat system, demon negotiation, and a deep fusion system where players can combine demons to create more powerful ones. A 2021 HD remaster is available for modern consoles and PC, which is the way I played it, featuring updated graphics, voice dialogue, and additional difficulty options, which is obviously the version I played. This was the first Atlas game I ever beat. It took me over 6 months of playing it off and on, usually when I was in the mood to get my butt handed to me. I still can't believe I actually rolled credits on this one. I'm terrible at games and almost always play on easy mode just so I can have a good, less stressful time. This game has a few flaws for sure, but it is great for a super difficult game. The combat is that same great press turn system that most Atlas games use. It's easy to learn and difficult to master. This is one of the scariest games that isn't an actual horror game. You are constantly on your toes and could die at any second if you aren't careful. This game is basically Pokemon for adults. If you have wanted a more challenging game with Pokemon-like elements, since you get to collect and use all kinds of demons in this game. Dusk Diver is an anime-style action-adventure beat-em-up video game where players control a high school girl named Yang Yumo, who must fight phantoms in the Jimanding district of Taipei. The game features a dynamic combat system with light and heavy attacks, special skills, and the ability to summon guardians to assist in battle. Players can explore the city, interact with its inhabitants, and experience a story that blends the real world with a hidden, chaotic dimension. This is such a surprising hidden gem. It even got a sequel that I still need to get a hold of before it gets outrageously expensive. About half of the game is pretty vibrant and not super spooky at all, while the other half gives off spooky vibes constantly from the darker, more mysterious stuff going on to the combat and enemies being pretty spooky as well. This is a great palate cleanser for anyone who usually plays very long JRPGs. Danganronpa is a Japanese visual novel video game series where high school students are forced into a killing game by the bear-like Monokuma and must murder each other to survive. The core gameplay involves investigating crime scenes, gathering evidence, and participating in class trials to identify the killer. The main games in the series are Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair, and Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony. I've only played through the first game so far, and thoroughly enjoyed every second of it. These are some of the best visual novels I've ever read, especially for spooky season. What is spookier than being trapped in a mysterious place with people you don't know and being forced to kill each other? I would recommend playing these just for the art style and music alone, even if you don't enjoy visual novels that much. These games have so much going for them. The music is incredible, the gameplay and puzzles is a lot of fun and gives nice breaks in between all of the reading, and I just couldn't say enough about these, so go check them out. Raging Loop is a psychological horror visual novel where the player is trapped in a mysterious Japanese village and must survive a deadly werewolf game. The gameplay involves making choices that affect the branching story with a scenario chart, allowing players to revisit past decisions. The game features a core loop of death and rebirth, with the player retaining knowledge from previous attempts to solve the mystery and escape. This is such a dark, beautiful, unique horror visual novel. I do have a couple complaints, like for instance, it has something to do with time travel, and I personally wish that wasn't a part of it, and that it was just one straightforward, cohesive story. But I understand why they did it. I just feel like that made it drag on a little too long. This took me almost 40 hours to finish every single route and to see the correct ending. Before the first time thing happened, I was hooked and couldn't put it down. The music, visuals, and even voice acting are fantastic in this game. I highly recommend it for anyone who enjoys reading a very good, deep, lengthy, creepy story with so much depth. The game does a great job of going into detail with every single gross death you come by. Knights of Azure is an action role-playing game which follows the story of a knight named Arnis, who is tasked with protecting a saint, Lilith, in a world plagued by demons that appear at night. This and its sequel has become some of my favorite games ever. The story didn't really hook me in either one, not that it was bad, I just have really bad ADHD and struggle with dialogue at times, especially when the gameplay is so fun and addicting. I couldn't get enough of it when I started playing. The combat is very fun, basic hack-and-slash combat that I always enjoy. You can summon servants to help you fight along the way, which is basically like summoning familiars to fight for you. It's such a great fun mechanic. Now that I've gotten new footage for this one, I've realized I think I like this one even more than the sequel. It has two things that I definitely prefer about it, but either way, it is great to play this time of year, and I highly recommend it for anyone who needs a good spooky time game to play. Can't hurt that these are full of fan service as well, so you almost always have something nice to look at. Knights of Azure 2, Bride of the New Moon, is an action role-playing game where the story follows Alush, a knight who is resurrected as a half-demon and must fight against a religious organization to save her friend, Liliana. The game features a focus on character relationships, a unique combat system with companions called lilies and servants, and a story that can lead to different endings based on player choices. I just recently rolled credits on this one, as of the making of this video. It's just about as good as the first one, and is mostly just more of the same, which isn't a bad thing. The only problem with this series is that they haven't announced a third one yet. I really hope it does continue in some way. I've enjoyed these a bit too much. The only bad thing about this game is that it has a time mechanic where you only have a certain amount of days during each chapter to accomplish as much as possible. Thankfully, once you complete the game, you can start a new file with the clearer data, which will remove the time mechanic, and that way you won't feel rushed at all while playing. I do not enjoy being rushed at all, but other than that, I thoroughly enjoyed this game, and can't wait to do another playthrough one day. Code Vein is an action role-playing game known for its anime-inspired post-apocalyptic setting and Souls-like gameplay. Players take on the role of a revenant, a vampire-like being who must fight to survive in a world overrun by the lost. While managing their thirst for blood and a thirst for memories, the game features a character creator, a partner system, and a unique blood veil mechanic that allows players to drain enemies for power. This one surprised me a ton in so many good ways. I'm not good at Souls-like games at all, and the only ones I usually like are 2D, like Salt and Sanctuary. This is probably the first 3D one that actually hooked me, and I didn't stop playing it until I beat it. It required a decent amount of grinding and trial and error, but I eventually figured out how to beat certain bosses, even with my lack of skill. They just recently announced a sequel, and I couldn't be more excited for it. It may be a day one buy for me, which I almost never do. I think my only actual complaint for this is that the default option when starting the game is highlighted over online play, which I would never use. I personally do not play multiplayer games at all, especially not online, mainly because friends are a myth in my life, but also just because single-player games are so much more fun to me. I'm also not a fan of character creation at all. It gets in the way of the actual game, and I don't like having to name my character or do anything of that sort. It just wastes time. I just want a pre-made character that actually fits into the game I'm playing. I do not want a silent, no-name protagonist. Other than that, this is one of my favorite games ever, and I can't wait to get destroyed by the sequel soon. If you have any spooky suggestions of your own, feel free to leave those down below. Hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you all next time.
Everywhere is thirsty. There is a spring that will cure that thirst, one that weeps tears of blood. That's what they said, anyway. This way.